They said her footsteps could freeze a room when the millionaire's mother entered. Conversations died, smiles vanished, and even confident people felt small. No one ever dared to challenge her until one ordinary waitress did something no one expected that night in a room full of wealth and power. Kindness stood up to cruelty, and what happened next changed everyone forever. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart and remind you the good still left in the world, please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is Kindness Lights, where one small act can light UPA 1,000 lives. The restaurant was one of the most expensive in the city. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings. Soft music floated through there, and every table was dressed in white linen. This wasn't a place for mistakes. It was a place for power. At center table sat Daniel Harper, a self-made millionaire in his early 40s. He wore a tailored suit, but his shoulders were tense. Across from him sat the one person who made him feel like a scared little boy again, his mother, Margaret Harper. Margaret was known everywhere. In business circles, she was feared. In social circles, she was avoided. She had built her late husband's empire with an iron will and expected the world to bend to her standards. People whispered that she could ruin careers with a single sentence. Tonight was supposed to be a quiet dinner. Daniel hoped naively that it would go smoothly. It didn't. The waitress assigned to their table was a young woman named Lily. She couldn't have been more than 25. Her uniform was neatly pressed, her hair tied back, and her smile gentle but tired. She had worked a double shift and still had hours to go. Water, Margaret snapped without looking up. Yes, ma'am. Lily replied warmly, already reaching for the glass. The moment Lily placed the water down, Margaret frowned. Is this room temperature? Do you people not understand basic service? I'm sorry, Lily said softly. I'll bring you chilled water right away. Margaret let out a sharp laugh. Sorry doesn't fix incompetence. Nearby, tables fell silent. Daniel stared at his napkin. He had seen this his entire life, and every time he said nothing, Lily returned quickly with chilled water. Her hand shook slightly, but her voice remained calm. Here you are, ma'am. Margaret took a sip, then waved her hand dismissively. Too late. You've already ruined my appetite. Daniel finally looked up. Mother, it's fine. Please. Margaret turned her cold gaze on him. Don't tell me what is fine. And Lily stood frozen for a moment, then quietly said, Would you like a few more minutes with the menu? Margaret leaned back in her chair. I would like a different waitress. Someone competent. That was usually the end of it. Managers rushed in. Apologies were made. The waitress disappeared. But Lily didn't move. Instead, she took a slow breath. I'm sorry you're having a bad experience, she said, her voice steady now. But I'm doing my best. Margaret raised an eyebrow. Excuse me. Lily met her eyes. The room felt like it stopped breathing. I don't know what kind of day you've had, Lily continued. And I don't know what you've been through in life. But speaking to people like they're nothing doesn't make things better. Daniel's heart pounded. People gasped. Someone at their table whispered, Oh no. Margaret stood up. How dare you speak to me like that, she said, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Lily nodded slowly that you're right. I'm just a waitress, but I am also a person. Silence. Lily's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. My mom used to tell me that kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. Tonight, I chose to be kind. Even when it was hard, Margaret opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. For the first time, the woman everyone feared didn't know what to say. Daniel stood up, too. His voice shook, but it was firm. She's right. Margaret turned to him shocked. Daniel, no, he said quietly. I've watched people be afraid of you my whole life. I've watched you tear others down, and I've let it happen. But not tonight. The room felt heavy with emotion. Lily took a step back, preparing to walk away. I'll get a manager, she said. Margaret suddenly sat down. No, she said. Everyone froze again. Margaret looked at Lily. Really looked at her. Not Astaff. Not as someone beneath her. Bhuta's a human being standing with quiet courage. You remind me of someone, Margaret said slowly. Lily blinked. Ito. Margaret nodded. Myself died a long time ago. The hardness in her face softened. Just a little. I wasn't always like this. No one had ever heard her say that. Margaret reached into her purse and placed a folded bill on the table. Then another and another for the trouble, she said. Lily gently pushed the money back. Thank you, but I don't need that. I just needed respect. That moment broke something open. Margaret exhaled deeply, as if releasing years off weight. Sit, she said to Lily, surprising everyone. Just for a moment. Lily hesitated, then sat at the edge of a chair. Margaret's voice was quieter now. When my husband died, the world became cold. I learned to be harder than it. Somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be kind. Daniel felt tears burn his eyes. Margaret looked at Lily. You didn't silence me. You reminded me. Lily smiled, a real smile this time. I think we all forget sometimes. The manager arrived, panic written all over his face. Is there a problem? Margaret shook her head. No. Dinner was perfect from that night on. Something changed. Margaret began treating people differently. Not perfectly, but better. She funded kindness programs at local restaurants. She wrote Lily a letter every year. And Daniel finally learned that standing up for kindness was the bravest thing he could do. As for Lily, she kept waiting tables while finishing school. But she carried that moment with her. The night kindness spoke louder than fear. And everyone who witnessed it left that restaurant knowing one truth. You don't need power, money, or status to change a room. Sometimes all it takes is courage and kindness. So if you ever feel small, remember this story because even the quietest voice can shine the brightest light. And that's how kindness lights the way.